MOH adopts new approaches to combat COVID-19 in Sabah. Politicians urge to self-reflect, avoid political turmoil. Good afternoon, thanks for joining us, and you're watching Updates at Noon. I'm Jessica Lee. Now, facing a crisis of rising new COVID-19 cases to alarming figures, especially in Sabah, the Health Ministry, or MOH, has adopted the whole of government and whole of society approaches to curb its spread. Now, Health Director General Tan Sri Dr. Nur Hisham Abdullah said additional manpower was needed at this juncture to carry out health activities at COVID-19 low-risk quarantine centres and public health activities in the field in the state. As such, the Health DG said the whole of government approach, which referred to the internal manpower of MOH, and the whole of society approach involving volunteers were very important to flatten the curve of the COVID-19 infection. At the same time, he said MOH also welcomed the participation of volunteers from non-governmental organizations or using the whole of non-governmental organizations in assisting the MOH medical teams. Until now, a total of 767 MOH staff from various categories had been sent to Sabah.
Setakat ini kita lihat yang kita telah menggerakkan, iaitu menggerakkan warga Kementerian Kesihatan Dalaman di negeri Sabah sejumlah 492 orang anggota perubatan dan 52 orang anggota kesihatan awam telah digerakkan secara dalaman di negeri Sabah sejak sebulan dulu. Dan sehingga tarikh iaitu 14 Oktober 2020 sejumlah 175 orang anggota perubatan dan 48 orang anggota kesihatan awam telah digerakkan dari negeri-negeri lain ke negeri Sabah.
To date, Sabah continued to record the highest number of new cases at 489 cases after more laboratory results were obtained. Meanwhile, 3 more new COVID-19 clusters have been identified yesterday, namely the Lekir cluster in Perak, the Bunta cluster involving Kedah, Perak and Putrajaya, and the Merbuk cluster in Selangor.
Kluster baru yang pertama ialah kluster Lekir. Kluster baru ini melibatkan daerah Manjung di negeri Perak. Case index bagi kluster ini iaitu kes 17,526 telah dikenal pasti positif COVID-19 hasil saringan individu bergejala pada 14 Oktober 2020 dan telah dimasukkan ke Hospital Raja Permaisuri Bainun Ipoh. Saringan kontak rapat telah mengenal pasti 5 lagi kes positif COVID-19.
On the Bunta cluster, Tan Sri Dr. Nur Hisham said it involved Kuala Muda Kedah, Kerian district in Perak and Putrajaya. He said the index case for the cluster was found COVID-19 positive following the screening of an individual with symptoms on the 15th of October, adding 7 more COVID-19 positive cases were identified after the screenings of close contacts. For the Merbuk cluster, Tan Sri Dr. Nur Hisham said the cluster involved the Kuala Langat, Klang, Kuala Selangor and Petaling districts in Selangor. The index for the cluster had been identified COVID-19 positive following the screening of an individual with symptoms on the 9th of October, and 8 more COVID-19 positive cases were identified after the screenings of close contacts. A total of 629 new COVID-19 cases were reported yesterday, making the total number of active cases in the country now stands at 6,323. The National Security Council, or NSC, has decided to impose the Conditional Movement Control Order, or CMCO, in Kampung Padang Cik Mas, Baling, Kedah, effective midnight to 31st of October. The Senior Minister, Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob, said the decision was made after 25 positive COVID-19 cases were recorded through targeted screening in the locality until the 12th of October. Datuk Sri Ismail added that in the same period, 236 individuals were screened and were ordered to undergo home quarantine. They were also given the pink quarantine bracelet.
Sidang khas telah bersetuju untuk melaksanakan Perintah Kawalan Pergerakan Bersyarat ataupun PKPB di Kampung Padang Cik Mas, daerah Balin, Kedah yang akan mula berkuat kuasa pada 18 Oktober 2020 sehingga 31 Oktober 2020. PKPB ini akan melibatkan seramai 1,150 penduduk dan 151 buah rumah di kawasan tersebut.
Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri explained that the SOP set will be the same as other areas put under CMCO, meaning that there will be no movement in or out of the area. He also said that only 2 family members are allowed to buy food supplies and necessities. However, economic activities such as fisheries and agricultural sectors are allowed to operate as usual by adhering to the SOPs. In a related development, Sekolah Kebangsaan Dalam Wang, which is located in the Kampung Padang Cik Mas area in Baling, will be closed until the 31st of October. In a statement, the Education Ministry said the closure is in line with the implementation of CMCO in the area. The closure will affect 214 students as well as 22 school staff. During the closure, school administrators were instructed to ensure that teachers and students conduct teaching and learning at home. The statement also added that home teaching and learning manuals can be downloaded from the Education Ministry's official portal. The Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Riyatuddin Al-Mustafa Bilal Shah has advised all politicians in the country to engage themselves in self-reflection so that the country would not be dragged into political uncertainty. Now, Comptroller of the Royal Household of the National Palace, Dato' Ahmad Fadil Samsudin, in a statement said His Majesty gave the advice as the country is already facing various problems due to COVID-19 outbreak. Dato' Ahmad Fadil said Al-Sultan Abdullah also urged all members of parliament to show maturity in politics and to understand the grievances of the people and not to neglect the public well-being. His Majesty stressed that politicians should not end their disagreement in opinions with hostility, but instead to resolve problems through consultations and legal processes as enshrined in the Federal Constitution. Al-Sultan Abdullah also called on the people to pray for Malaysia to be blessed with peace and serenity so that the prosperity of the country and the people are always protected. His Majesty also advised all Malaysians to play their part and remain disciplined in complying with the standard operating procedures and the new norms to help curb the spread of COVID-19 for the sake of their safety and the country's well-being. The Dewan Rakyat Secretary's Office has received 30 motions from 25 members of the Dewan Rakyat as of yesterday for the next Parliament sitting. Dewan Rakyat Speaker Datuk Azhar Azizan Harun in a statement said all the motions submitted would be scrutinised and considered in accordance with the rules of the House of Representatives. Datuk Azhar said the third meeting of the third term of the 14th Parliament will take place for 27 days from the 2nd of November to the 15th of December, and MPs had been informed of the matter on the 2nd of October. The next parliamentary sitting will also see the 2021 budget be tabled by the Finance Minister on the 2nd of November. Coming up next, BPN 2.0 to be paid out in stages from the 26th of October. An elderly man was burned to death in a fire incident in an apartment at Taman Sri Manja, Petaling Jaya last night. The 72-year-old victim was living with his adopted son who was working during the incident. Selangor Fire and Rescue Department Chief Mustaqim Rimon said the department received a distress call on the incident at about 9:52 p.m. Following that, a total of 19 fire and rescue personnel along with 3 fire engines were dispatched to the scene. The rescuers managed to retrieve the charred remains of the victim. The body was then sent to University Malaya Medical Centre or PPUM for further action. The cause of the fire is still being investigated. Johor Police Contingent has foiled an attempt to smuggle drugs to Indonesia as they arrested 5 locals and 1 Indonesian national in a series of raids conducted in Muar on the 13th and 14th of October. Its police chief, Dato' Ayub Khan Maidin Piche, said in the operation, police managed to seize methamphetamine and ecstasy pills worth about 1.05 million ringgit. Explaining further, Dato' Ayub Khan said in the first raid that was conducted on the 13th of October, Marine Police Force Region 2 managed to arrest 2 local men in Parit Sakai Laut in Muar with 1.07 kilograms of methamphetamine. A follow-up investigation was carried out which led the police to arrest a local man and woman, which then led to this discovery of 14.6 kilograms of methamphetamine and 9,905 ecstasy pills in a coconut plantation. In a separate operation on the 14th of October, which was also conducted in Muar, a local man and an Indonesian man were arrested and 3.1 kilograms of methamphetamine was seized.
Dadah ni tuan-tuan, daripada soal siasat awal, dadah ni pada Kuala Lumpur tuan. Dan untuk disudup ke Bengkalis. Tadi pun saya nyatakan 2 suspek awal kita tangkap tu, yang wanita dan lelaki tu. Mereka ni saudara mara dia yang berada di Bengkalis. So itulah MO yang digunakan. Dadah daripada KL sampai ke Muar ataupun Batu Pahat, daripada sana akan terus disudup ke Bengkalis tuan. Untuk pasaran di Indonesia.
All suspects are remanded for 7 days and the case is investigated under Section 39B of the Dangerous Drugs Act 1952. The payment for the first phase of Bantuan Prihatin Nasional or BPN 2.0 amounting to 7 billion ringgit will be channeled to the existing 10.6 million eligible recipients in stages starting from the 26th of October. In a statement, Finance Minister Tengku Datuk Sri Zafrul Tengku Abdul Aziz said the first phase of BPN 2.0 payment amounting to 4.8 billion ringgit for the B40 category involved 3.7 million recipients who will each receive 1,000 ringgit. The payment will be made in 2 installments of 700 ringgit at the end of October and 300 ringgit in January 2021. He added that all payments would be made directly into the bank accounts registered under the BPN database. Tengku Datuk Sri Zafrul also said that the new BPN 2.0 application was opened from the 15th of October to the 15th of November to help those who had never received BPN before, including the new vulnerable groups who are eligible to apply due to changes in their income status affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. To ensure that BPN reaches those who are truly eligible, a review process on new applications will be made immediately. And for those who are approved, payment will be made in one lump sum in January 2021. Now, in an effort to revive the tourism sector, Perak State Government has introduced several programs, including the #TravelPeraklah geotourism vouchers and dark tourism at Kelly's Castle in Batu Gajah. Now, Perak State Exco Datuk Noli Ashilin Muhammad Razi said this initiative is a continuation of the 2nd anniversary celebration of the Kinta Valley Geopark, which indirectly aimed at helping travel agencies affected by the COVID-19 pandemic.
Melalui voucher ini, mereka akan mendapat diskaun sebanyak RM150 untuk digunakan oleh pengunjung. Sekiranya mereka mengambil pakej-pakej yang ditawarkan sempena kita meraihkan ulang tahun kedua Geopark Lembah Kinta. Untuk makluman, inisiatif atau promosi ini akan berlangsung daripada bulan Oktober hinggalah ke bulan Disember. Yang itu khusus untuk Geopark. Kerana Geopark kita akan genap usia 2 tahun pada 25 hari bulan Oktober 2020 nanti.
Dato' Noli added that Kelly's Castle was also continuing with its dark tourism program this year with the Kelly's Night Tour Vision 3 every Friday and Saturday from 8 p.m. to 12 midnight throughout October. She said the new initiative was expected to encourage more domestic tourists to come to Perak and stay for longer periods of time while helping travel agencies to be more competitive and thrive under the new norms. And that concludes today's edition of Updates at Noon. In our top story, MOH adopts new approaches to combat COVID-19 in Sabah. Now join me again for news at 10, coming up at 10 p.m. on Saluran Berita RTM on My Free Views channel 123. Now you can also stream the news by surfing RTM's MyClick. Thank you for watching this afternoon. I'm Jessica Lee. See you later.